All right, guys. So we are in week 2 of Frindle, and so we're going to jump right in. We are familiar with the routine. I'm going to read and go over questions for chapter 11, and then you are responsible for reading chapter 12 and answering the rest of the questions. So chapter 11 is entitled Extra Extra, Read All About It. On Thursday morning, the Westfield Gazette was delivered to all 12,297 homes and post office boxes in Westfield. The story about the Lincoln Elementary School was the first item on the front page. And the headline, Local Fifth Grader Says, Move Over, Mr. Webster. It was quite an article. Not that Judy Morgan didn't tell the truth. Every statement in the article was completely true. It was the particular way she told the truth that got things hopping around town. For example, the sentence about Mrs. Granger. Mrs. Granger, champion of forces of order. Let me slide y'all up. And authority is battling hundreds of young Frindle fighters. Neither side is giving in. Or this bit about Nick. Everyone agrees that Nick Allen masterminded this plot that clearly raises an issue about free speech and all academic rules. He is the boy who invented the new word. Or this last sentence in the article. One thing is sure, the kids in Lincoln Elementary School love their Frindles, and no one seems to be backing off in this war of words. And, of course, the Westfield Gazette published the class picture too, and Mrs. Granger and Nick were identified for all the world to see. What is the meaning of this? That's what Nick's mother said, putting the article in front of Nick's nose when he got home from school. Did you talk to this reporter? She seems to know an awful lot about you and your new word, young man. What is the meaning of this? That's exactly what the superintendent said to Mrs. Chapman, slapping a copy of the article onto her desk. Why did you have to talk to that reporter? Do we have enough trouble? Don't we have enough trouble getting the taxpayers to pay for schools without, slide y'all up, without articles like this banging around town? What is the meaning of this? That's what Mrs. Chapman said to Mrs. Granger, shaking the newspaper in front of her face. I know you had to talk to that woman, but did you have to say all these things? It'll be a wonder if we don't all get fired. It was quite a Thursday for everyone, and no one could figure out how Judy Morgan had gotten the 5th grade class picture. All right, so our first question we have is, which detail from the text shows that Mrs. Chapman was upset with the article? So again, I have my text up because we have to go back to the text in order to be able to answer the question. So I am looking for when Mrs. Chapman enters in. So at the bottom of page 68, it says, what is the meaning of this? That is what the school superintendent said to Mrs. Chapman. So those are the statements of Mrs. Chapman. So I keep going because I'm looking for the statements of Mrs. Chapman's. What is the meaning of this? That is what Mrs. Chapman said to Mrs. Granger. So I'm going to go ahead and get started by highlighting, because here I can see the actual action of what happened. So she has the paper. She says, what's the meaning of this? And then it goes on to give me further detail. She is shaking the newspaper in front of her, Mrs. Granger's face. So I'm going to highlight that as well. That is the action that she does. I know you had to talk to this woman, but did you have to say all those things? It'll be a wonder if we don't all get fired. So I'm going to highlight that second part as well. Maybe. Let's see. All right. There we go. So let's look at our answer choices. It says A, putting the article in front of Nick's nose. That's not what happened at all. Mrs. Chapman is not putting an article in front of Nick's nose. So let's move on to B, slapping a copy of the article on her desk. Well, we just read that when we first started at the bottom of page 68. And who is slapping the article? The school superintendent is slapping the article on Mrs. Chapman's desk. So that's not what Miss Chapman does. I'm looking for the detail that shows me that Mrs. Chapman is upset. C, shaking the newspaper in front of her face. Well, we highlighted that Mrs. Chapman was shaking the newspaper in front of Mrs. Granger's face. So that's a good possibility. D said it was put in everyone's Thursday folder. No, that's not what happened in the text. So my best answer choice is that Mrs. Chapman is shaking that newspaper in front of Mrs. Granger's face. Let's go ahead and move on to question number 2. It says, based on Judy Morgan's article, what character trait could we use to describe Nick? So I'm going to go back in the text and look to see where Mrs. Morgan is referring to Nick. So starting on page 67 is when the newspapers are actually going out. So it says that every statement that she made was true, but it was just how she said it. So let's look at the statement that Nick was supposed to have made here in this second paragraph, or the bit about Nick right here. So we're going to go ahead and highlight this. It says that Nick, everyone agrees that Nick Allen masterminded this plot that clearly raises issues about free speech, academic rules. He is the boy that invented the new word. Remember, Nick has invented the word, title of the book, Frindle. And so we're looking to see him making this plot and getting all kinds of people to start saying the word Frindle. What does that show me about the type of person that he is? A says that he's deceiving. If you are deceiving, that means that you are not a honest person and forthcoming. It pretty much means you're a liar. So Nick didn't lie about what he did or what he was trying to do. He had the word Frindle and he wanted everyone to say it. So let's look to see if we can have a better answer choice. B, inspiring. You know, you can inspire people to do good things and bad things. And it kind of, maybe he's inspiring people to say the word Frindle. Let's look at the next. C, trusting. Well, he might be a trusting person, but that doesn't go along with what we have here, saying that he is the mastermind around getting everyone to actually say the word Frindle. Our last answer choice is exciting. Well, first off, exciting is not a character trait. That's a feeling, an emotion. So that's not going to be a good answer choice. He is most likely inspiring. He's getting everyone to say and use this word. All right, your job is to keep moving on. And you're starting with chapter 12, which is airways. Read chapter 12 first. Then go through and answer the rest of the questions. I can't wait to see your wonderful answer choices.